Hey everybody, this is Mike from the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a playthrough of the adventure card game solo and cooperative Beyond the Rift. This is a Perdition's Mouth kind of spin-off. And I did a preview for this one, but I've been sitting on the actual copy after they sent me a review one a couple of months ago, and I finally played it again. I forgot how awesome this game is. So I'm going to show you the start of the second campaign. There's a bunch of 3 scenario campaigns, and then I'll have a full review of this one in another week or two. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. Like recently, I looked at my favorite games from 2020 and talked about how my opinions had evolved in the last 3 years. You can also watch our separate streaming channel for even more content, listen to our weekly podcast, or join the conversation on our Discord. So Beyond the Rift is a game for 1 to 4 players, and you can multi-hand it. In fact, in my preview playthrough I did, and that's kind of a more like basic fighting scenario if you want to go back and watch that one. The one I'm going to show you today is the start of the second campaign, which stars Niffle, the kind of like thief guy in the group, the rogue, if you will. And this is a stealth mission, because I wanted to show something a little different to show how the same basic card system does a lot of interesting and cool things in the different scenarios the game has. But the core idea of the game is that you have a hand of cards. In solo, it's usually going to be 7, and you're playing them to do attacks, you're playing them to defend yourself, although apparently Niffle is terrible at defense because I don't have any of those right now. You're playing like special ability cards. And like a lot of these adventure card games, you have some enemies like in your own threat area. This Acolyte here is one of those. But then you also have a quest area, enemies who are attacking you from long range or who haven't found you yet, that kind of stuff. All the things in the game are resolved using this little deck here. You flip it up and it has values mostly around +1, 2, and 3, but there are some like -1s all the way up to 5s in here to throw things around. And these are your randomizers when enemies attack you and you attack them for certain abilities you might use. And the core resource in the game is action points, this little sort of like starburst symbol. Each card is going to cost a certain number of action points. You can also use generic abilities on your character to like draw more cards or discard 1 card to draw more. But you'll be using these every turn to play cards and draw them, and then all the enemies will get a turn to attack you and do their nasty stuff. Usually the quest will have its own phase where like new monsters come out and new locations or what have you. And then often at the end, you'll advance this little threat tracker, which will generally have like bad things happen. And usually this is also a timer for the scenario. Like in this one, I have a limited amount of time to complete my mission before I lose automatically. And like I said, this is a campaign, although the main like way the campaign shows up is that you unlock items that you can equip. And you can switch out your characters scenario to scenario. You don't have to like keep using the same people. So in this case, again, I'm playing the second campaign. In the first one, I unlocked leather armor that can be used by a warrior or an elf, and a spear that can be used by a warrior. And the cards in your starting deck will have little icons. Like here, these are Niffle's 3, I guess, right-handed items, and his 3 armor items, or cards, I should say. And when you get an item, you actually replace cards in your deck. So you're kind of like making the cards in your deck better without actually making your deck larger as you get these items. That's kind of like the main kind of persistent campaign element. All right, so those are the basics. I'm going to do some narrative for the scenario. Feel free to use the timestamps if you don't want to hear me reading dramatically. And then we'll go into the full solo playthrough. Tregi, the bustling capital of the Gory Empire, was teeming with life for weeks, one of its many fairs in full swing. I would have felt fortunate to get us a table at the Eagle Tavern quickly had I not been with Niffle. I watched for a courier but never saw the message arrive. It was a bulky leather case, the kind couriers use to keep off the rain. He didn't have it when we entered, but opened it as soon as our ales arrived. Who gave it to him? The old man with the weird beard? The beauty in the green dress? The reeking street urchin? I still have no idea. A message from a brother, he said, frowning, then took a deep drink. I didn't know you had a brother, I said. You never talk about family. Brother Orn, he replied, with a little smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He's alive? I leaned in, eyes wide. We had all feared Orn lost after the Abyssal Rift. Learning he didn't die? It was like putting down a weight I'd forgotten I was carrying. Are you sure it's him? There are details that could only have come from our hard-smoking friend, but the news is not all happy. The cult has him again, locked up in some desolate old fortress. He'd never return to them. Perhaps not, but they found him, dragged him out of the rift, and are trying to, let us say, persuade him to resume his old loyalties. A finger rose to Niffle's lip as he thought. Sounds like they're scattered and need everyone they can get. So they think or hope to rekindle his faith. We have to get him out of there. That was a little over a week past. Now we're looking over the cult camp and arguing about our approach. The letter to Niffle describes a side entrance that could offer the advantage of surprise to soft-footed intruders. Tyra and Bastion, however, have a very low opinion of the front gate and insist that a fast frontal assault could seize it in minutes. As we debate, Niffle seems distracted. When confronted, he frowns. Are we sure it's impossible that Orn has returned to the cult? He never repudiated all their doctrines, and I know how tempting they can be. Why would he ask for rescue then? Bastion demands. To lure us here, I reluctantly reply. If the cult really is rebuilding, he could wind up running it if he delivered us their great enemies. So far all the campaigns I've played have some sort of branching path. Sometimes you play like the same first mission, but then branch. In this case, you start with a branch. So we can either storm the front gate or go the sneaky way. But we're going to try taking the advice from the letter and sneaking in instead of taking the frontal assault, especially since my guy is a rogue and I'm not playing in a group. That seems to make sense. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what you have for each of the scenarios. And again, I think there's like, over 20 or around 20 in here. Each of them has a bunch of different difficulty settings because it's based on both what difficulty you want, green, yellow, or red, but also how many players or how many characters are in the game. So I'm going to be doing difficulty 2, medium difficulty for one character. It's going to tell me how to build the enemy deck. This one just has cultists, no demon creatures, no orcs, other things I've been fighting. A terrain deck, which is not always used, but often is. This one has 3 doors and a rebel in it. And it says that I'm going to spawn 3 enemies and a hero in the quest area. I'm going to have a threat value starting at 1. Oh, and I spawn terrain cards in the quest area until I get 1 door. And again, the deck is 3 doors and 1 rubble. So I'm either going to end up with just a door or a rubble and a door. And okay, in this case, just a door it is. Then you have a bunch of other stuff. Now, this is a more complicated scenario. Again, if you want to see like a very basic, just like fighty one, go watch my previous video. But I wanted to show you kind of the versatility of the system. So this has this whole thing. Basically, in this one, if I get found, I lose. So like if I start attacking one of the enemies and I don't kill him in that same turn, like kind of, emulating a stealth kill, then I lose immediately. Like if anybody is able to raise the alarm fully, I lose. If threat gets too high, and the more guys I leave alive, the more I'm like sneaking about, they're going to raise threat themselves as they kind of patrol for me. If that gets too high, I lose. And how I win is I get through all the doors, although each time I get through a door, it's going to kind of represent me going to a new part of the complex, and more enemies will spawn. But if I can get through every door until the terrain deck is empty, and if I get all the enemies out of place, I will have to kill like the final sentries in the last place, and then I win, which sounds pretty tough. And this game, even on medium difficulty, can be quite challenging, especially for one character. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, randomly from the deck of 10, I got 1 Acolyte, 1 Guard, and 1 Summoner. These are the 3 types of enemies in the scenario. Acolytes are super easy to defeat. The value down here is how many action points it costs to pull them into your area or send them back out, engage or disengage. This is their range for their actions. 1 means they can only affect you like if they're in your area. 2 means they can affect anybody. Those are the only 2 ranges in the game, basically. Their base attack value, which is terrible, 1. Their base defense value, which is terrible, 1. And their number of wounds, basically how many times you generally need to hit them, 1. Yeah, these guys are not too strong. The guards are much nastier. They cost more action points to engage. They can shoot you from range with their blowguns. They have better attack and defense. They need 2 hits to kill generally. And I didn't show this before, but the Acolyte just had a heart, which means if they hit you in combat, you just take a wound. The guards also cause a fatigue as well, because they've got, I guess, poison in their blow darts. Now, they won't be attacking me. If they're attacking me, I've already lost the scenario, so yeah. And then by far the nastiest one in the scenario. If I can kill these guys off, my job will be way easier. Summoners, there are 2 of them in the deck of 10, so getting 1 at the beginning is not too unusual. They're very hard to engage. They also have long range. They have way better attack and defense than the Acolytes, and they need 3 hits. And don't forget, if I don't kill an enemy all in one go, all in one round, then they discover me. I got to like finish off my stealth kill. So they're freaking me out a little bit. I'm not sure what to do about them. And then the door itself can be attacked, or I can use action points to pick the lock. Either way, you're going to be drawing some cards from the response deck to determine how tough it actually is. And I also had 1 enemy spawn on me. Now, another way you lose a scenario besides attacking an enemy but not finishing them off and or threat increasing too much is if you ever have 2 enemies in your area at the same time, then they've discovered you. So 1's okay, 2 is not, which means I pretty much need to do something about that Acolyte or the Guard or the Summoner. Because over here, important thing to be aware is the enemy phase. I'm going to draw one of the response cards, and it's going to determine the activities for every enemy. And the guards will engage me. That's what this little like kind of golden star symbol. The blue means disengage. So they'll walk into my area in a -1/0 or a +3. +2 is the most common result, then +1, then +3, then these are like very edge case. So still pretty good chance that he'll just like come over. And the Summoner will support face-down enemies. We'll see what that means in a second. He'll also walk into my space pretty often. And the support thing, yeah, I mean, that's really nasty. I'll explain that in a moment. And then the lookouts, the interesting one is this one down here. This means raise the alarm. They disappear from the deck, so like they're not around anymore, but they raise threat by 1. And the lookout ability also can raise threat as they're like kind of looking around for me. So yeah. But they mentioned face down enemies. This is a unique rule in this scenario. And again, sorry, this is a more complicated scenario. Go look at my preview if you want to see like a basic one. But you have what's called a distracting maneuver action available in this scenario. If you spend action points equal to an enemy's disengage engage cost, you can flip them face down. And that means basically you've given them the slip for the moment. And that's important because they don't count as being engaged with you anymore. So they won't end the scenario if there's 2 of them. You can't pick the door or bash it down unless you have nobody engaged with you. So if you don't turn them face down or kill them, then you can't get out of the room you're in. And the big thing is whenever you get rid of a door, all of the face down enemies in your area go to the bottom of the enemy deck. So they'll like go away, kind of like you slipped away from them for a little bit. Now, for somebody weenie like the Acolyte, I just kind of want to kill him. But like that would be great for the Summoner. If he does engage me, I could just spend 4 action points to flip him face down, and then he'd go to the bottom of the deck for a while. But that's also where the Summoners support face down enemies and reveal action comes in. Support, whenever it says that, means that they move to be in the same area as that type of enemy, which means if I use a distracting maneuver to flip down the Acolyte, and then the Summoner got that support face down enemies action, he would come to where the most face down enemies are, and then his next action was reveal. He'd reveal everybody where he is, and we would immediately lose because we'd have 2 people there. So the Summoner is kind of like the most dangerous guy in this mission. We got to, make sure everything revolves around him. And let's see, the difficulty of opening the door, it's either going to be 2 plus a card draw action points we need to spend, or 2 plus a card draw defense. No, that's not right. Attack. That's supposed to be an attack icon. And for all kind of like tests and attacks and all those kind of things in the game, it all works the same way. You decide how much you want to spend. So let's say I was like attacking somebody. I'll show you how this works in a moment. Let's say I was going to like attack for, 11 attack, combining these 2 guards against somebody. I determine my total. Then I take whatever their value is, like Summoner has 3 defense, and I flip a response card and modify it. So they would have a 4 defense, and you need to beat it, not equal. You need to beat their total. So same thing with the door. It's 2 action points plus a card draw, or 2 attack, not defense, plus a card draw, and I need to exceed the score. So like if I did a 5 attack, and then if I drew a +3 card, it would be 2 plus 3 is 5. I'd equal it, and I would fail. I would have just wasted my action. And that's how them attacking you works. That's how you attacking them works. That's kind of like the core resolution aspect in the game. All right, so with those details about the scenario and the basics of how it works, let's get into the first actual hero phase. So at the start of the first turn, you're going to have 7 cards in solo. Your hand size depends on the number of players. And you'll generally have your base number of action points, although holding cards at the end of the round will give you more than that. But Niffle right now has 8, which is, I think, the most of any of the base characters. He tends to be able to do a lot. And there's 4 main types of cards, which are indicated by these symbols here. There are red fists, which are attack cards to fight people. A little action point symbol, which get you more action points, as you can imagine. I don't have any of them, but there are blue shields, which are defense symbols, stopping enemies from attacking you. It's good I don't have them for this scenario because they wouldn't really help me at all. And then finally, there's this little special symbol, which is a special action that'll usually do some cool extra things, and will kind of explain itself. So in my hand right now, I've got 3 cards focused on attack. And note that 2 of them are a different color. Those are spear cards in my right hand that I used and replaced, taking out Niffle's normal right-hand cards, because these ones are better. The main reason being range. Each card will have a range of the top here. And like I mentioned earlier, range 1 can affect yourself and any enemies engaged with you. But to affect enemies in the quest area, to affect enemies in front of other players, to help other players in general, you need range 2. So with these spears and my throwing dagger, all these are range 2. So I could like shoot or stab this acolyte or try to kill this guard from where I am without wasting action points to engage them. And how attacks work is you pick 1 card as your primary card and you pay the red cost in action points. So I could do spear for 1, spear quick hurl, spear attack formation, or throwing dagger, that costs 2. But then you can add on as many other cards as you want to increase your attack value, paying the blue cost, the supporting cost for each one. So like if I wanted to do a huge attack here, 3, 8, 14, it would only cost me 2 action points total. That would of course be silly because the highest the response deck can draw is a 5 and nobody has that much defense. Now, they also have some different stuff going on. Quick Hurl says I can discard a card to draw a card, which will mean I can, kind of mill through cards in my deck. Although every time you go through your deck completely, you're going to add fatigue cards to it. So it's not great to necessarily use up a ton of cards. But besides that, it's got a 6 attack, which is insane. I think it's the best in my deck. The other Spear card is also a nice attack, or I can get some action points. And then Throwing Dagger, which is a Niffle only card, costs more and only gets me 3 attack, but it lets me draw a card from my hero deck for the attack. So even though it costs a lot of action points and isn't very strong, it basically replaces itself, which is amazing. Or I could spend 0 action points to draw a response card and get them any action points, which again could go from -1, hurting me, all the way up to +5. So those are my most basic cards. Then let's look at all the special cards. I drew a whole bunch of them. So one of Niffle's big things is that he can attach cards to enemies. So this one is Distraction. It's at range 1. It's a persistent card, which means it stays around. Attachment means it goes underneath an enemy. And when they die, it goes away. And basically, it modifies their values. All of their values can't go below 0. So 0 is the worst you can make them, except for their range, which can't go below 1. So they always have at least 1 range. But here, this would turn the Acolyte into having 0 engage and disengage power. So I can just kind of move him back and forth. It would make his attack 0, it would make his defense 0. It wouldn't actually hurt him, so wound cards will have like 1 or more blood drops, and that'll actually kill the guy. But I mentioned earlier, if any character has a card attached at the end of the round and I haven't killed them, I lose. So even if I do a distraction, they'll still have heard me, and then I'll lose the scenario. So if I'm going to use one of those cards that negatively affects the enemies, I have to be sure I'm going to go in for the kill right away. Okay, then I have another one, Rogue Tactics, -4 engagement and -3 defense. This one's just all about murdering the guy as quickly as I can, which I will note would be great for the summoner because it would make his cost a -4, so I could turn him face down, although I guess he would still have something attached to him, right? Oh no, it says we only lose if a face-up enemy has attachments. So I could use my rogue tricks to make the summoner cheaper to do stuff with, although that only has range 1, so I still have to pay the 4 actions to get him in front of me, engage with me in the first place, unless he comes on his own, which would be very awesome. And then another one, God, these are not the cards I want right now in this scenario. Perceptive Edge. That one just makes them worse at attacking and defending. Yeah, same kind of thing. And okay, something different. Thieves' Tools. I got 2 options. When you have the little division, that means you pick one or the other. I can spend X action points, look at the top X times 2 cards in my deck, put one of them straight into my hand, and put the rest of the cards at the top or bottom of my deck in any order. That's pretty cool. And this one's amazing. So this goes into the fatigue and wound system. It says put all fatigue cards from your hand back into the fatigue card discard pile and discard all wound cards in your hand. Let me show you that real quick. So there's a deck of wound cards, and these affect enemies and me differently. If I get hurt, generally you add a single wound, it goes straight to your hand, and it becomes like a cruddy card you got to deal with. It's going to use up space. You cannot discard it for any effect. But you can add it, so like here if I do an attack, I can spend 0 action points to put my dislocated thumb card in there, and it'll make my attack weaker, but then at least it goes in my discard pile. But the thing is, the wounds don't go away. They go into your discard pile and get drawn again. They go into your discard pile and get drawn again. They just kind of keep on messing with you. The only way you heal wounds generally is at the end of scenarios, and not even all scenarios. Like if it's a scenario where, realistically wouldn't be able to heal, like you're going like deeper, like in this one, where I'm infiltrating a deeper church or cavern or whatever, I probably won't get to heal at all after this scenario. This one can also be used to make your defense weaker. And then you also draw wound cards when you hurt an enemy. And just like the Niffle cards you saw before, it modifies their stats. But the big thing is generally it's going to be -1, or even sometimes if you're lucky, -2. I think there's only 1 or 2 -0 cards where you don't hurt them. And the second that somebody has 0 hearts left, they get killed. They're taken out of the game, so they don't even go back in the spawn deck. And the wound card gets discarded to potentially be shuffled back into the deck later. So that's how, basically wounds work. Fatigue is similar, except you get 2 of these every time you go through your deck. They are much easier to get rid of. You can just pay 2 action points. And they go back to a fatigue discard pile. They don't stay in your deck, after you get rid of them. And enemies can also get fatigued, although here I wouldn't want that because they would just stay alive and lose the scenario for me. So what I'm thinking for this first round, I want to kill this Acolyte to get him out of the deck. And maybe do a long-range attack on this Acolyte too. I think killing the guard is a little bit too ambitious. And then on most results, one or the other guard or summoner will engage me. If it's a summoner, I'm probably going to try to use my rogue tactics or something and just put him face down. If it's the guard, I might actually kill him. But I don't want to open the door this turn for sure. I want to kind of focus on thinning the herd of enemies slightly because all the face-up enemies will stay with me and even more enemies will spawn when I open the door. So it'd be a little foolhardy to do it too early. All right, so I want to kill 2 Acolytes. I've got these 2 spear cards that are super powerful. And I've also got this throwing dagger that'll let me draw another card. And looking at Nifl's basic effects, because pretty much every character has this kind of thing. So for 4 action points, I can draw a card. Usually it's less than that. Most characters it's 3, so that's actually pretty expensive. For 1 action point, this I might do. I can discard up to 2 cards and then draw the same number of cards. Because again, I got way too many of these like affect the enemy things that I don't really need right now. I can also discard 1 card to gain 1. So if I just like want some action points at a heavy cost. And then every character has a way to defend with action points. Although Nifl is terrible at it, he can spend 2 action points to gain 1 defense. Thank God this isn't a fighty scenario because he is not the best defender. He really does well with somebody like Bastion the tank who can help for him. So, again, true solo is going to be a little bit wonky like a lot of these games, but this is a stealth scenario. I feel like he might be okay. And then every character has their own ability. Once per hero phase, when you're performing an action in which any number of response cards are being drawn, you may redraw all response cards. So I get 1, oh crap, let me try again, draw per round. That's great. And by the way, each character has a leveled up, or not really leveled up, but alternate version that has like this red kind of highlighting, if you see that. And you get this sometimes as you progress through the campaign. So like in this particular run through, I've unlocked Bastion's leveled up side. And it changes like their abilities. It changes their ongoing thing. It can change a lot and really make them like a different character to play. All right, a lot of preamble. Sorry, let's actually get to it. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to consider my options. I'm going to pay 1 action point to discard up to 2 cards. The card I want to keep most of these is Rogue Tactics, because that one actually could help me maybe even kill that summoner. So I'm going to discard these other 2 debuff cards. Draw replacement. Okay, here's a defense card. So it's just 5 defense. When an enemy attacks, the same kind of resolution system. You see what their attack value is. You play as much defense as you want, and then they draw 1 response card. And if their total is higher than your defense, remember you always have to go higher, whether it's them or you, then you take a wound. A known exploit. Target hero looks at the top X+1 cards of the hero deck and puts 1 of those cards in their hand. Put the rest of his cards at the top of the bottom. Okay, so kind of like that other one. All right, so I still don't love these. Let me use known exploit for 0, which means I get to look at the 0+1 top cards in my deck and draw. So I'm just going to draw the top card, in other words, for free. I'm going through my deck fast, which means I'm going to get exhausted more. For 2 action points, I can draw 2 cards from my hero deck. I just want to get like 1 more attack is kind of what I'm thinking. Well, sure. Let's spend 2 AP to draw 2 cards. You can go above 7. Oh my gosh, all these weird things he has. Okay, so this is leather armor, which is going to be totally useless here. This is a special card from the leather armor, the other item I added to his deck. Basically, it lets him block a whole bunch of cards in 1 turn. And then with the Sure Feet, for 2 action points, place in my hero area, I can ignore all negative terrain effects. That would be good when I draw the rubble. Or for 0, put all fatigue cards from your hand into the fatigue discard pile. So yeah, he has a lot of ways to just like get rid of fatigue and suddenly not be tired again, which is pretty awesome. But darn it, none of this is what I want. Okay, I'm spending 1 action point to discard 2 and draw 2. The defense and the Sure Feet. Okay, do I have any other attack cards? Sorry, I haven't played Nifl very much. I've been playing mostly some of the other characters like the Berserker and the Defender and the Wizard. Ooh, this one's good. Confusion. You may play this card whenever an enemy tries to move into or out of your hero area to prevent that move. That could like save me from a sudden loss. This is a reaction ability, by the way, so you can play it out of turn. And okay, you know what? I'll use this leather armor. I'll spend 2 action points to gain 6. Finally, a defense card that's helpful. So I'm back to my full 8. I've still got 7 cards. I've just milled through my deck a lot. I still have not gotten a single extra attack for whatever reason. Well, I don't really need Thieves' Tools yet, and I definitely don't need the leather armor defense. I'm going to spend 1 action and draw 2 again. And, okay, Deception. Oh, interesting. I can spend 2 action points to regain probably at least 2, and then also draw a card from my hero deck. Nice. And then, Groid Strike. Here we go. Ooh, 4 attack, and I draw a card from my hero deck. Okay, so with this, I think I'm ready to actually start killing some people. So let's go for the Acolyte first. I want to be sure that I get him because remember, there is like 1 no damage card in 1 or 2 in the wound deck. And if I have the bad chance to draw that and I'm like caught flat-footed, then I might not be able to kill him before I lose. So he's got 1 defense, which means a 5 is almost 100% going to be enough. Yeah, so I'm just going to try the 5. For 1, I'm paying the primary cost. And then I draw a response +1. So his total defense is 2. My 5 exceeds that. Which means I draw the top wound card and attach it to him, and okay. It's a normal one where he takes 1 wound, so he is taken out of the game, and this goes to the discard. So nobody's on me now. I could open up the door. That seems like a terrible idea, though. Instead, I'm going to... I'm going to change it up. The Acolyte has a good chance of raising the alarm and increasing the threat, but that also takes him out of the game, so he kind of like kills himself in a way. I think I'm going to bring over the guard instead for 3. I just got to hit him twice. That's the tough part. So that leaves me with only 3 action points, but I do have like a lot of card draw and stuff. Let's use a Deception first. So it's going to cost me 2 action points, but then I'll get a response card worth back and draw a card from my deck. Okay, +2. So I just basically got the cost of the card back. That's fine. And I get to draw a card. Ooh, another Spear. Now I can definitely kill some people. All right, so I'm going to... How big do I want to go here? For the first attack, let's just do a spear. I'll hurt him if he gets anything except a 4 or 5, which again, there's only like 4 of in the entire deck. So let's try that. That just costs 1. I could add on like the groin strike or the throwing dagger to draw more cards. But no, I don't want to do that right now. And by the way, just a note, every card's range needs to be enough to reach the enemy. So like I could attack the summoner or the acolyte in the quest area with my spear, but I couldn't support with the groin strike because it only has a range of 1. All right, so 6 versus 2. Okay, good. 3. Yeah, usually they're not going to draw super high, so it's a pretty good chance you're okay. All right, and... Okay, good. He's got... Ah, darn it. I was hoping he would get like some modifiers to his defense, so my second attack would be easier, but no such luck. He's got 1 wound left, so I got to kill him now, since he's got a card attached. Otherwise, I would lose. So let me go ahead and do... do I want to do extra? Sure, I'm going to try the spear with a groin strike. That's 1, 2 action points, so I'm down to 0. If this doesn't work, I'm in trouble. But this will let me discard a card and draw a card, which I might do. And this will let me draw a card from my hero deck for free. Okay, so I think he can possibly defend, right? Okay, +1, so he had 3 defense and I had 10 attack. Wasteful. Please be dead. Okay, good. He is dead. Like I said, almost every card is -1 wound. There's a few -2s and like I think 1 -0. Okay, I can discard a card to draw, but honestly, I like all of these right now. And then I can just draw a card with the groin strike. Shadowy figure. Look at this. I can modify an attack with it. It actually makes the attack 2 worse, but I'll do 2 damage instead of 1. That's great if I try to take out the summoner next turn. Okay, I've got no action points left, so we'll stop there. That's the end of the hero phase. And now we go into the enemy phase. I'm going to draw, again, a single response card and see what they do. It's a +3. And this little track on the right is just, if you want to, you can mark it to remind you what you're activating this turn. And you go from top to bottom. There are no guards, but they would have engaged me. Summoner says support face-down enemies and reveal. There are no face-down enemies, so he won't move. There's no one to reveal, so he won't do anything. And the Acolyte's doing a lookout, not raising the alarm. So he's still around, which is, I don't know if this is the result I wanted. And how lookout works is if the enemy activating is in my area, he automatically increases threat. If he's in the quest area, I draw a card. And if it has a little red symbol, he increases threat, which I think is less than half of them. So let's see what happens. Ah, darn it. Okay, so we did get a threat raised from the Acolyte, and he's still around. So that was like the worst of both worlds. Then we have the quest phase. In this one, nothing happens in the quest phase. The door stuff actually happens immediately when you open it, like spawning more enemies and stuff. Then we have the draw phase. This one's pretty important. Let me show you how it works. There is a bonus to having cards left in your hand at the end of the round. When you do the draw phase, you gain action points equal to your normal value +1 for every card in your hand. And that includes like wounds and fatigue. So it's kind of like a little bonus for getting your butt kicked. So I'm up to 12 for next turn, which is great. And then this part's both good and bad. I don't just draw 2 7 cards. I draw 7 cards total. And then I discard down to 7. So I'll have more options, but I am very close to going through my deck the first time, which is going to add 2 fatigue cards to my deck. Now, I'm not as worried with Niffle. He seems to have lots of ways to get rid of them, but still, they can be annoying. Oh, crud. I forgot about my, redraw ability. I should have been doing smaller attacks last turn because I could make sure my luck is good. All right, so let's see. I'm mainly looking for... Oh, my gosh. Dude, look at this. I've got lethal targeting, which also makes an attack deal +1 damage, and shadowy figure, so I could one-shot the summoner with a crazy backstab. So I want as many attacks as I can possibly get. All right, so let's see. So I don't want a defense card. I'm just trying to get down to 7. I could keep Rogue Tactics and pull the summoner over, because then the -3 shield would be kind of like having +3 attack. The confusion still seems pretty useful, though I might not have room for it. Let's see, Tactical Retreat. Nope, this is a awesome defense card, which is totally useless in this scenario. Touch and Feel. Look at the top card of any deck. Oh, so I could guarantee that I'm going to draw a good thing. But that seems like a waste here. And then, Better Positioning. Spend 2 action points to probably get, on average, about 5. Okay, well, I definitely want, all the actual attacks I can get. Rogue Tactics. Confusion to save my butt. I'm not going to use this. Then the last step of the turn is the end phase. In this one, you increase threat by 1, so it's at 3. And with one player, if it gets to 12, I lose immediately. Although there is some confusion for me whether you lose at 12 or if you start the quest phase or end phase at 12 or more. The designer kind of went one way, but the rules seem to indicate another way to me. So I don't know. Either way, around 12-ish, we will lose automatically. Okay, so let's look at this super attack. Ooh, wow, Niffle, I love you. Look at this. 2 range, 2 range, 2 range, 2 range, 2 range. You can do all these attacks and never have to actually waste 4 action points pulling the summoner in. That's awesome. So, what would I get? 3, 7, 10. And all these let you draw a card from your hero deck, but you can only get that bonus once per attack, so if I use all of them in one attack, I'm kind of wasting the bonus. 10 minus 4 would be 6, which would not be quite as high as I would like. Because even with my redraw, I'd have to get a 2 or less, and there are mostly 2s and 1s, but also looking at the discard, it's been mostly 2s and 1s, so the odds might be a little bit more balanced now. Now, I could make the attack easier with Rogue Tactics, but then I need to pull him in for 4 action points and spend 2 more to play Rogue Tactics on him just to get a +3 advantage. That seems like a high cost. I'd love to have like 1 more attack card, but I feel like I already went through most of them. See, now I kind of wish I had kept the touch and feel, because then I could have looked at the top card of the deck and seen if this is a crazy plan or not. I could like lose the game for myself right here. Okay, so I'm doing it everything attack. What was the cost I said? I want to start with, this one is the only one that has a 2 cost to support. So that's 2. So I'm poking him in the eye from long range with a throwing dagger, 3. Fair encounter, 4. Lethal targeting, 5. Shadowy figure, 7. Down to 5 action points. And that gives me 10 minus 4, 6. And if I hit him, I will do 3. Well, I guess I'll draw 3 wound cards. Oh, crud. So I actually might not kill him. Whatever, we're doing it. Okay, so he's got 3 defense, and I got to 6, so I need a 2 or less. Oh, crud. Okay, using my ability to redraw. Okay, okay, good. But now he might still not be dead. We'll see what happens. So I'm drawing 3 wound cards. One could be a 0. Now one can also be a -2, and then I'd be okay. All right, here we go. -2, yay, he's definitely dead. And we didn't get the -0. I wish we had. So yeah, he's taken 4 wounds. He is defeated. That's one of the 2 nasty nasties in the deck. That's like the main people I have to worry about. There goes like my entire everything. I could still try to open the door with action points. I've got enough that I might succeed. But the problem is when I open the door, I spawn 3 enemies with 1 player in the quest area and 1 in each hero area. So I kind of feel like I gotta wait this turn maybe. Well, actually, maybe not, because I got the confusion, right, in case they actually come toward me. I would not have enough to open the door and do that. Okay, we'll chill with what we got. Actually, wait. You know what? I do have a better use for my action points. I'm going to do 2, 4, because extra action points at the end is not useful except for playing like defense cards and stuff. I can pull the Acolyte over for 2 and then flip him face down for 2, because the thing is, he's the weakest enemy in the deck. So if he comes back in a later spawn, I don't care as much as like the summoner who I actually wanted to kill. So we'll hang out there. I still have to draw a card, but no enemies are going to activate. It's quest phase, it's a +2, and that doesn't do anything because nobody's around. I'll do the draw phase, and this is going to increase to 4. Yeah, because it started on 1. So I'll go to 10 action points because I have 2 cards left. And then very important, I'm drawing 7 cards, and I'll discard down to 7. But I'm going to put 2 fatigue cards in because I'm shuffling my deck. And you always have to keep fatigue and wound in your hand. So like if I draw one of these out of my 7, I would have to keep 6 regular cards and 1 fatigue card, for example. All right. And okay, I got some spears. That's nice. And I did not get any of the fatigues. Okay, so defense is usually great, but here it's useless, so I'll definitely discard that for one of mine. Okay, here's some more of my like little effect people. That's one that lets me draw cards. Oh, that's not the spear, that's leather armor. Does give me a lot of action points, though. Lets me draw cards and get action points back. Yeah, they aren't the most exciting cards ever, are they? Okay, well, I'll definitely discard this modifier one, and that'll give me my 7 for now. All right, and we're going into the next round. So I can attack the door or try to unlock it. It's 2 plus a card draw. I have my like once per turn thing. So let's do, I want to save the attacks because I don't seem to have that many. So let's do a 6 action points. That means only a +4 or +5 would fail me, and I can again redraw. Okay, and first, oh, good thing I did that because a +3 would have failed me if I only spent 5. Okay, so I do unlock the door. So it's taken out. There are 2 more in the game, but don't forget we also have to defeat all the enemies at the end. This Acolyte goes to the bottom of the deck, and then I get 3 people in the quest area. Guard, another Acolyte, another guard, and then 1 engaged with me. Okay. In a way, that's good, I guess, because I can just immediately put him face down. But man, if I could kill him, that would be ridiculous. Oh, and I forgot, I got to draw until I get a door. Oop, we got the 1 Rubble. So Rubble will make it cost 3 extra action points to engage or disengage someone. So in a way, it's kind of lucky that the summoner is already right with me, maybe. Okay, and there's the door. Oh, there's only 1 more door after this. Okay. So if I can escape these guys, go to the last door. Oh, but then I got to open that door. Is that right? Ooh, and it's just when there are no enemies in play face up. So yeah, really, I think I should just be like dodging people more than I am. And speaking of, I got 4 action points left. I feel like maybe I should like, I don't know, Guards are still good to kill. The Acolytes I'm not too worried about. I definitely want to put the Summoner face down. I mean, I'm definitely not going to kill him. And right now, either of the guards could come in if they draw the wrong thing and engage me. But if he's face down, oh crap, they could both engage me. There's 2 guards. Ooh. Yeah, which means if that happened and I got a -1, or 0, or 3, they would both engage and I would lose. Even if I put the Summoner face down. And to put a guard face down as well, I would need 6 more action points. Jeez. Well, speaking of action points, let's discard my leather armor. I'll pay 2 to go back up to 8. So that's almost enough to face down the Summoner and one of the guards. Let's try Deception, I guess, see if we get lucky. So I'm spending 2 action points. I get to get a response worth of action points and draw a card. The card is Thieves' Tools, which is one that gets rid of all the fatigue cards. And the response is, okay, so I just got the action points back. So there was really kind of nothing. I still have my redraw once per turn thing. Oh, and I do have Confusion, which would stop one of the 2 guards from coming over. Okay. Ooh, crud, good crud. I actually played it wrong, but it should have worked out right. I'm sorry. So you only put face-down enemies in the quest area at the bottom of the enemy deck. But look, all face-down enemies do something during the enemy phase. They move to the quest area if they're in your area, or they turn back face up if they're already in the quest area. Okay. So the timing's different than I thought, but I evaded the Acolyte and then ended my round, so he would have moved over and then he would have been put on the bottom of the deck. So that it worked out the right way. But yeah, that means if I turn the Summoner face down right now and then like open the door again, well, the thing is, if I turn him face down, I would need to open the door next turn. That would be like the only way that things would work. I really want to get another one of my damage cards and kill one of the guards. Can I do that? Oh, let's do my Thieves' Tools, right? I'll spend 3 actions to look at the top 6 cards in my deck, take one of them in my hand, and put the rest on the top or bottom as I like. Okay, good. There's lethal targeting. Ooh, and I can put the fatigue on the bottom of my deck, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to take that one into my hand. The rest of these, I want the attacks on the top. Yeah, all the rest will go on the bottom with fatigue as my very last card. I think that maybe is smart. Okay, so now I could throw a lethal targeting spear at the guard. Ooh, with a throwing dagger. Oh, but I need 4 action points to actually take care of the Summoner, don't I? And that would cost me 1, 2, 3. So with 2 action points, I would need 2 more. I could discard 2 cards to get the last ones. Oh, but I'll get an extra card. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. I'm going to do Spear, Throwing Dagger. So that's 1, 2, 3 for lethal targeting. So I'm down to 2 action points. And it's a 9 -2, 7 attack against 2 defense, and I still have my redraw. So this should be an automatic thing. Oh, I got a 0. Well, you don't actually hit. I might lose again if I get the 0 wounds. 1, 2. Okay, phew. Yeah, that's the scariest part. I feel like I'm killing more people than I'm supposed to be. Like, I think they designed this to be more face down happy. And, I can discard a card to draw a card. And then I get to draw a card for free. Well, let's draw the card for free first. And then Confusion still might be useful. I really don't think I'm going to use Rogue. Well, that's right. Actually, I could make the Summoner only cost 2 to flip with Rogue Tactics. Maybe that actually is a good thing. So I'll just draw the card and not discard to draw, maybe. And then, yeah, I'm going to do Rogue Tactics. There we go. So that cost me 2, but now his engage or disengage cost is 0, which is also his sneaky cost. Oh, wait a second. Not 100% clear here. Rubble increases the cost of engaging and disengaging enemies by 3. Here's can turn enemy face down by paying their engagement cost. I can see that going either way. But let's be jerks to ourselves and say that we do need 3 more action points. So I'll pay 0 to get a draw worth. Oh, I love it. It was the 1 of 2 5s in the deck. Okay. So then I'm going to, I'll say that I have to pay the extra 3. Flip him down, and I guess that card will come back. I can't interact with him in any way, so that doesn't really matter at this point. Remember, I only lose if there's a face-up enemy with a card on them. Okay, and then I don't think I want to do anything else, because I don't want to go through my deck too quickly. This will get me to 10 action points. Next turn I can go through the second to last door, try to turn more guys face down, I guess. So the enemy phase, you get a +3. The first guard does engage me, which is maybe actually kind of good, because the Rebel, well, again, I'm not sure if I'm paying the extra +3 or not. Okay, so that was the guard, and then the Acolyte got a +3. Oh no, he's doing Lookout. Don't raise threat. Gosh darn it! He got the red again. Wonderful. And then the face down enemy will move here. So if I don't leave next turn, he'll turn back face up, and he'll still have an attachment on him, and I lose. Okay, so then we'll do the draw phase, and then we'll just move to 6 right now. So I'm getting 8 + 2 to 10. Drawing 7, I imagine. Wow! I know I put 1 fatigue on the bottom, but apparently they're both on the bottom. Okay, so now I don't think I should be killing things. I think I should be getting everything that gets me action points. So Okay, tactical retreat I definitely don't need. That's like the one that gives me bonus defense. Better positioning is great. Okay, these are some attacks. It's like distraction I'm going to get rid of. Okay. All right, so first I definitely want to flip the guard. So, again, I'm not sure if I'm making this way harder on myself, but we'll pay 6. And now that I don't have anybody face up in front of me, I could attack or pick the lock. Attacking seems like maybe a better option with my action points. Well, let's go and use better positioning. So I spend 2, and then I get 2 card draws worth. 2. Oh, okay, that was not great. So I spent a card to get a single extra point. Yeah, that was a losing proposition there. Oh, darn it. That was the dumb leather armor. I shouldn't have kept that. Oh, geez. Oh, I didn't even pay attention to this because I like the attack damage. For 0, you may disengage all enemies currently engaged with you or engage all enemies in the quest area. Wait a second. That's great because I can pull the Acolyte over for free. Oh, that's probably better for like next turn when there isn't all the rubble, since again I'm not sure if I'm paying for that or not. So let's just break down the door. So these are actually no, the range doesn't matter for doors. So 7 attack. I'll make this one the main one, so that's only 2 action points. I'm down to 3. Still have my redraw, so 7's probably overkill. Ooh, the door has 2 plus 4, 6. Okay, I don't need to use the redraw, but that was actually kind of close. I mean, I get to draw 1 card, even though I used 2 of those. Experience will let me draw more. And that immediately gets rid of the door and the rubble, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. I get the last door. This guy goes to the bottom. Oh, no. Okay, I should have planned this differently. Look, there's only 4 cards left, so he's going to come right back out. Now, the guard engaged with me does not go to the bottom because he wasn't in the quest area. All right, so, depending on where the summoner shows up, I might be in a lot of trouble here. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, I got super lucky, and he's engaged with me. I say super lucky because he's the only one who can actually, like, oh, crap. No, there's only 1 guard. Okay, this is actually great. Because there's only 1 guard at the moment, only 1 person could come to engage me. So if I can flip the summoner face down, then I'm good. So for that, I just need 1 more. So they all just discard leather armor for a single action. And then for 4, I'll flip the summoner face down. I shouldn't be able to lose here. I mean, they might raise threat a lot. That's certainly worrying. But I should be okay. They are doing 1. Oh my god, we're going to get so much threat. But at least almost all the enemies will be gone. Oh man, we might just lose here. Okay, the guard's doing lookout. So he does not get a red. Yay for that. Small favors. The summoner is face down. All the acolytes go away forever. We go up to 9 and then to 10 in a second. We need to get out of here. And then these guys go over here, which means if I leave, I'm just going to respawn them. But then I can just dodge them again. Okay, and then after the draw phase, we'll be at 10. So if I lose at 12, this is going to be so tough. Need to open that door ASAP. I mean, spawning or not spawning the guys isn't going to matter because that is the entire enemy deck, I just realized. So actually, yeah, if I just run away, the same guys are just going to come back face up who are face down right now. All right, so I go to 12. But I'm definitely going to get my fatigue now. Darn it. Oh, actually, I drew 7 cards and the last fatigue is on the bottom. So I only have 1 I have to keep in my deck. Okay. And I really want things to give me action points. Ooh, put all fatigue from my hand into the fatigue discard pile. That seems good. I have to take that. Confusion I'm not worried about anymore because I need to actually win. Okay, denied opportunity can get me more action points. Spear can get me more action points. Oh, I do have to actually break down the door, don't I? So I guess the other spear would be good too. Look at the top card of any deck. No. So that's 4, 6, 9. That's too many. Looking for a specific card. No. And I guess I don't need to do the engaging everybody. That would save me a ton of time in the final round. So I don't want to lose that. Maybe getting rid of all of the fatigue. That doesn't seem that great. Let's get rid of that. Okay, yeah, we went up to 10 threat. Let's do this. So again, I might as well just break down the door immediately because the guard will stay where he is. These 2 face down guys will go back in the deck, get shuffled, and then the quest prioritizes spawning first, I think. Yeah, so they'll just be in the quest area, and then I can pull them all over with my thingamajig, my shadowy figure, and then try to turn them all face down, and I think I win. So yeah. Yeah, especially if, again, I'm not sure if you win when it goes or lose when it goes to 11 or 12. Let's do this. So I'm just going to open the door immediately, which my spear is good for, and I got the redraw, so 6 is probably enough. That's 1 action point. Okay. And yeah, +1 gives it 3 defense. So we bashed down the final door. You know, I am wondering if this is on purpose to give shields a value in this scenario, because they're not really good for anything else since they never attack you. So because in the core rules, doors are attack, not defense. But maybe they did that on purpose, which would make sense. If so, I've been cheating some. So whoopsie. We'll just roll with it for now. All right, so the entire enemy deck is just these guys, and they're both in the quest area. Boop. And then, yeah, I think it should be the easiest thing ever, thanks to Niffle being awesome. I can disengage all enemies or engage all enemies in the quest area. Boom! Shadow Figure is the best. So do. And then I need what? 10? I got more than that. I got 11. Boom. I think I immediately win. I win if there are no doors and no enemies and play face up. Boom. Yes, I might have been cheating with using attack instead of defense, although that might have been a good thing because I did have defense cards I couldn't use at all. Yeah. All right, so let me show you what happens at the end and the rewards you get. Sneaking through, it had not been nearly as poorly guarded as Brother Orin had suggested. I feel uneasy as we creep through the long, winding hallway that's supposed to lead to the main hall where Brother Orin has told us he would be every night at midnight. It's too quiet, and the thought that the main hall with its big hearth would be empty in such a damp and cold old fortress seems unlikely. The eye of the one god seemed to have gone blind in this godforsaken pile of stones, and so I had to trust our old friend's advice and Nifl's gut feeling. Alright, so every scenario will tell you, like, how much you get to remove from your deck, like, of wound cards and that kind of stuff. In this case, yeah, like I suspected, you just remove fatigue, all fatigue from your deck. But if I had somehow gotten wounded, which I guess seems impossible since they can't really attack you in this scenario, then those would have stayed around in my deck. Now, you always clear out all your wounds at the end of the campaign, but you can sometimes, if you get hurt a lot, go into the next scenario with, like, your wounds still injuring you. Oh, and then here, this is a fun part. Draw 4, 3, 2, or 1 items from the campaign-specific item deck and add 1 to the item pool. So in one player, you get to look at all of them. So I've got a Potion of Maggots, which can be used by a mage or Nifl specifically. And these go into, like, their little traits here. So he's a warrior and a human, which is why he can use the leather armor and the spear. But then Eliza could also use the Potion of Maggots, and you can trade items, like, back and forth between characters and between missions, so it doesn't have to be with them forever. And that's a left-handed item, so I don't have anything there yet. And there's also Poison Arrows, which can only be used by Nifl or a halfling. Oh, but that's a right-hand item, so it would replace my spear. Or Leeches, which could be used by a priest or a warrior, so Nifl could use those and would also replace my spear. And then Robes of the False Prophet. Ooh, wow. That takes up your chest and your leg area because they're robes, which I think means it has 6 cards instead of 3, because usually each of these is 3 cards. And that's a priest or a mage. So the only ones that I could actually use are these 3. Let's see, the Potion of Maggots. Ooh, it's another +1 damage one. That's pretty good. Power Potion. Just lets you draw cards, 1 per action point. That's pretty crazy. And then, interesting. So this one deals fatigue instead of damage, but I know Nifl's flip side has the ability to turn fatigue into wounds, but I think it might combo with Poison Arrow if I remember right. Yeah. Remove any number of fatigue cards from target enemy or ally and attach wound cards equal to that number removed. I could use my Potion of Maggots to fatigue them and then follow up with a Poisoned Arrow. And then this Poison Arrow deals fatigue as well. So that's kind of like the main combo there to deal extra damage. The attack values are weaker, though, than the spear. But if I was playing 2-player, I might give the spear to somebody else. And either way, I think I'll take the Potion of Maggots. That seems like a pretty good one to be in his left hand. And then if later in the campaign he got the Poison Arrow, he could give the spear to Bastion or give it to Tyra the Berserker. And we'd have like a nice little combo going there. So that was one of the 2 branches of the second campaign of Beyond the Rift, Perdition's Mouth. Hope you enjoyed that one. Again, that was way more complicated. So if you just want to see like what a normal like enemies fighting you fighting them, defending, attacking kind of scenario looks like, go back and look at my preview. And I'll have a review of this one. I've played 3 of the campaigns. I want to like try out the last few. I should have a review in another week or 2 to let you know what I think. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.